Yeah. So a few things that we want to do today. The first one is like we should decide what hosting provider we want. I think there were two choices mentioned: AWS, EKS, or DigitalOcean. My inclination is towards AWS, EKS because that's where I have experience that I can help to drive. Go DigitalOcean, then I don't have experience. I need someone else to drive.
Okay, no hal lah. I think to expedite things, just go with EKS. Just go with S3 backend for the TF, for the Terraform backend. And yeah, we move as fast as possible.
Then I guess the next one is like we should draw some simple architecture diagram so that we know what we need to build. So we just draw a diagram in Draw.io. So first layer that I want is VPC in the cloud, so virtual private network. Next, database, like all those DNS stuff, like how to exactly access all the applications we can think about later.
Han, you have access to the SG Thinkers punya GitHub organization kan?
SG Thinkers,
Yeah.
never hear before. I think one decision that you should kind of think about is GitHub or GitLab. For
Is there
GitLab, you
preference?
have like tighter integration with Kubernetes. Then another one is just now you were mentioning about the Terraform backend, right? So actually GitLab has its own Terraform backend, save some money.
Okay, let's go with GitHub.com. Any objections? Wait once.
Nope.
Okay, let's go.
We also have a GitLab team, by the way. Look into it. I think we have a team also.
Power gila apa? They even let you host the Kubernetes, the Terraform backend. And there is
Then
also
another thing is like this
the image.
monitoring, you get it for free.
Docker image repository pun dapat kan? For free kan?
Yep, container registry.
Power gila, bayar.
Siapa is excited?
Dari dulu kita tahu time Void Adventures lah. Me and Salihan kita pakai GitLab. GitLab macam power lah. And I was surprised even back then because GitHub for free you cannot have private repositories back then lah.
Yeah.
But GitLab the whole time had it. Okay, here comes the one of the most difficult problems in computer science: how to name stuff.
M8S.
Yes.
Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
Let's change the K. Let's change the K to an M.
Boleh.
Yeah.
It's
Can we change the MSOCIETY to all caps or all lowercase?
Okay, Roger. Oh, I mean,
We got corporate identity, bro.
Branding officer.
I need to start following this also. Okay.
It's either all M and S. Definitely the wrong way to go, lah.
Roger. No, we will honor this. This is important. I agree.
Budi should be here, sir. He was learning Terraform at the time.
Oh, is it a public repo? Is it a public repo?
Right.
Oh, okay. That's surprising. Okay, sweet. Hey, we have many people in the room.
Budi is here.
Budi has been summoned.
Yeah, Budi. This one is good for your FYP.
Budi avatar pun setan.
Hello?
Hello?
All can see my terminal, right? Not too small.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually every time I clone repo, I like to do my configs. Because by default, you use my work username and password.
Now ni ada type hint ni. Autocomplete ni. Macam cool sih.
Oh, I use ZSH shell.
ZSH is not the default in Catalina kan?
No.
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Starting from Catalina, if I'm not wrong.
Legit, because it's an open source project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna populate some stuff in the README. So I use specific versions of Terraform, and I use something called TFENV. So it's very similar to your NVM.
Guys, if you're following on, you might as well install Terraform on your machine. Hey, your version of Terraform is out of date. The latest version is 1.0.4.
Oh, so fast.
So fast ah. Aku baru macam install macam last week ni.
Yeah. Okay, since we are using like AWS, you need to install this AWS CLI also lah.
Let me think. Do you have your own account? We can set up and tear out anytime kan?
Yeah.
So I create for you an IAM user based out of my account. So I carry the bill first.
So a few things you need to install: AWS CLI, TFENV. As I've said, the latest version is 1.0.4. Therefore, you want to use pure Terraform or you want level up and use Terraform?
go with Terra Grant lah. I haven't learned it yet, so a lot of it's going to be foreign to me, but might as well lah kan.
What is this thing called Terragrant, right? So it's like a wrapper around Terraform to kind of enforce you to write your Terraform config in a dry manner. After a while, you will notice that you kind of repeat a lot of stuff. And another advantage of Terragrant is that you can put before hooks and after hooks. Another advantage is that Terragrant you can kind of dynamically inject stuff into all your Terraform code. You will usually need to write in pure Terraform per component or module is the provider lah. So that provider block gets kind of repeated for every module. So with Terragrant you just write once and then tell it to inject to all your modules.
So Terraform macam CSS, Terra Grant is SAS lah. Wait, hang on. The IAM user you need all EKS policies, I assume.
Yeah.
What else do you need? You won't be needing S3 because Terraform backend will be using GitLab kan. So I start with that first minimum set of entry, minimum set of.
Yeah. Because the EKS permissions have like all the VPCs and all that also. Because we need to create that first in the Aurora.
Let me think. Okay, I tell you what. I think it will be instructive to try and fail, and then I will add policies incrementally. Therefore, we can also showcase sikit to our people in the group how to administer IAM based on least privilege. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Yeah. So these are the binaries that you should install. Aside from Terraform and Terragrant, for me, I also like to install this thing called TFLin and TFSec. So what they do is that TFLin is your like linter, similar to ESLint and I don't know, Prettier and whatever. And TFSec is to kind of check for any potential security vulnerabilities. So for example, let's say like Saiful was talking about the IAM right just now. It could be that you give two permissible permissions when actually you should be locking down. So they will give you some suggestions or recommendations. Yeah. Or another thing is like let's say you have your S3 bucket but you don't encrypt it. So they will also flag it out. Yeah. Okay, so I do have like some useful reading materials now. This one, the third one, comprehensive guide is very good. Highly recommended. And also this last one, Terragrant. How to keep your Terraform code dry and maintainable. Yeah.
IAM user created access key and secret sent via Telegram.
Okay, let me just configure that.
Jangan kau share pula screen when you're bringing up.
Yeah.
Secret. Pasal kita ada Budi dalam the group kan. Si Budi ambil kau punya access key. Kira bab. Aziz, bila kau type, terus kau kena unmute, turn off, pick it up sih. Power sih. That's some furious typing. Okay, so while Salihan is presumably setting up, ensuring that the AWS IAM user access I've given him is working. So the interplay between Terraform and AWS is that if you intend to use AWS so what is Terraform, right? Terraform essentially is vendor agnostic. Write your infrastructure as code stuff in a vendor agnostic way. That's the plan lah. That's the advertisement actually. But then when you realize, it gets a bit more complicated lah. But let's not get into that. But what's important is we are choosing to work with our AWS infrastructure via Terraform. So if that is the case, then one of the prerequisites is that you need AWS CLI set up on the machine that you want to run Terraform commands from.
So is Terraform the middleman?
Yes. It's an open source vendor agnostic infrastructure as code. Yeah, so that means AWS actually natively they already have their own infrastructure as code. It's called CloudFormation, AWS CloudFormation. But understandably, when you do something, you invest so much effort building your ISC in CloudFormation, you are tied to you're only ever being able to use that on AWS because
Right.
So if you wanna like one day I know it's a far-fetched scenario, but one day if your business wants to pivot from AWS to Azure or Google Cloud Platform, then it's easy peasy lemon squeezy lah, because you root your IAC in Terraform, right? IAC is infrastructure as code.
So the idea is to have repeatable and self-documenting configurations. Instead of like you go to AWS, you click, then some months later you want to do again, but you forgot how you did it.
Exactly. Repeatable is important. So an example of why this is useful is that when I'm currently learning Terraform on the side, and when I'm learning and I'm finished my session, I literally just Terraform destroy so that I don't incur a bill on my account. So during I'm learning, I will Terraform apply again and then up everything again. And you can treat servers as disposable now because of cloud, right? The advent of cloud has given you this luxury.
What's the rate of the payment?
Depends on the size of the. So in the world of AWS, the basic server block, compute instance block, is called EC2. Stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, I think.
Mm.
So it depends on the size of your EC2 lah. But what we are doing today in this project is we are not going to manhandle our own EC2 instances. We are going to work through a managed service. What managed service is it called? It's called EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, I think. AWS EKS. So what this service does is it abstracts all the complexity of having to self-set up and self-up your own Kubernetes cluster. It's an abstraction. It's an abstraction over the complexity of Kubernetes.
Okay. Macam make it easy for you to set up because of the boilerplate code. Boilerplate.
Oh, boilerplate. I don't know. This one I need Salihan to answer because or rather same point another way. I cannot grasp my mind around how complicated it is to be able to up your own Kubernetes cluster from scratch. Kirakan don't use EKS, manage EC2 backbones are like Lego blocks. Then Salihan, when you're learning Kubernetes, takkan you learn it via using EKS directly kan? I'm sure you would have played with it on your own kan?
So disclaimer, I don't have any practical experience with Kubernetes. I only know Kubernetes because I was doing some courses online. Like I was preparing for the CKA course lah. But then COVID happened and didn't happen.
CKA apa The Google.
Certified Kubernetes Administrator.
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to take the cert. But maybe next year. So I'm just gonna add few more things to the README. Okay, so after you install, later on you will be running some commands. So you plan, apply, and destroy. So whenever you write some config, right, you use diagram plan to kind of have a basic idea of what exactly you are going to provision. And then after you check, you apply. So this one will actually provision the stuff that you define in the code to AWS itself. And then when you want to tear down, then you just destroy. Usually the first thing that you want to provision within an AWS account is the VPC. How to get started? Usually I just Google Terraform VPC. And there's some modules to use. The usage is like that. Or you can look here also. Then what attributes should you supply? Example or name. And look here, inputs. You got a few things.
Why do we need modules at all for what we're doing?
So modules kind of give you a reusable way of defining your infra. You can go like the pure from scratch way also can, for example, like that. Basic usage. Some VPC, then you give you some cider block, I don't know, 10.1, 16.
And going with modules lets you, are we going to be using something that's already out there?
Yeah, so there are a few things that AWS itself they have created that you can use. One is like VPC, another one is like S3, another thing is like RDS. So you don't really have to do from scratch. And you do from scratch, right? Kind of need to understand each of the arguments, and then you pick and choose like which one do you want. Using modules, it's a bit opinionated.
I see. Ni masak sendiri. Modules instant meals lah.
It's like the open source library lah. Yeah.
For our project, which one do you think is best for us?
I think if you want to move faster, modules is better.
Okay, let's go.
Kind of need to specify the provider. In our case, we are using AP Southeast, which is Singapore. The back end, we are using the GitLab one, right? Let's see how to use it. Let's copy this. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just the pure Terraform way first. We can do the diagram way later. preferences, get access token. So I already have mine. They just use API lah. I already created mine last time. We pass everything like that. So I think there's a backend config file that you can use. Let me check how to define that. Address. This thing locals is something like a local variable kind of thing.
How is it different from variable?
Variable you need to, as a user, you need to input the value. So you will get prompted if you don't set a default value. And you can do like interpolation, local dot project ID. Must put my access token here.
ENV, yeah.
How does Terraform read from env? But I don't think you can directly read a TF file like that. So you kind of have to
Declare as a
define a
variable.
variable first. Okay,
So
so define a variable.
good time to use the variables.tf lah kan?
Try to initialize it.
Which means apa? Username pun nak kena hakut. Joking.
Yes, yeah.
Try. What is it complaining about? It's complaining about... Yeah, looks like only the interpolation lah. Username pun tak boleh.
Yeah. So I
What?
think this backend block, you can't use variables. It sucks.
That sucks. But if you were to do Terraform init and then you pass the configuration as command line arguments, it's okay tau.
Yeah.
Because command line you can interpolate, right? So that seems to
Yeah.
be the way that people are doing it.
Like this whole thing, right?
Yeah, this whole thing. So kirakan apa? The Terraform, the .tf file will only have a backend, HTTP, and blank. That's it.
I think there's a way to write all this backend config into a file and just read
There is a -var file, there is -var file.
unshare first so that I don't expose my token.
To anyone who's wondering why he's not streaming, he's doing secrets now. So he's unsharing. Aziz, are you there, Aziz?
Yeah, what's up?
Old Chunky Curry O 1 berapa kilo? Calorie?
That's so random.
Yeah. I think it's on the website actually.
Too high, too high.
246 in one carry.
How even? How do you do this?
I googled it lah. I just search.
Chunky Curry. I thought it's just, it's so Singaporean, you won't find it.
I think you can use my fitness pal punya app to cari. I think ada.
Yeah, that one have also, but I just googled it also have.
Sabar tuan-tuan. 246 calories. The daily limit for average adult man is 1,800 calories, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say 2,000 lah.
Depends on the activity level lah. For us, it's more like 1.5 lah.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, right? But the other way is what you fill up with that 1,008 or 2,000 matters also lah.
We should scope the discussion to losing weight, just calories.
Yes. Who's trying to lose weight?
We all are, but
This part really manual lah.
But you set it up one time lah. I mean, the first person that does this repo, they set it up one time. Tapi the secrets that vary from user to user, that one you still need to define. You need to declare in your environment variables. There's a fire 828.829. Oh, I got a random MSOCIETY member messaging me about the Docker workshop. Oh, wow. GitLab is nagging at me to set up 2FA.
These instructions are if you are hosting GitLab yourself.
Yeah, if you just hardcode foobar for now, just to get it to work. Project ID dah set kan?
Yeah.
Username, password Oh, your access token. Okay, biar aku try juga. Is our project ID M8S?
You can go to settings general.
Okay sih. I got it.
Can.
Okay, do you guys see my screen?
No.
How about now? NPR, go lah.
Now I got it.
Why you stop?
Why did it auto-killed itself? Go away you. Let's show Yeah, I start and it ends. Is it because...
you walk me through like what you do lah.
Okay, so exactly, I have two files. One is main.tf. It has just Terraform, backend, HTTP, empty block. Okay. Really just 4 lines inside that file. The other one is I created a .sh file. I just named it bluff.sh file. I don't have a provider block, but it shouldn't matter, right? It should at least I should already see a foobar state file our GitLab.com console, kan? But I don't see that. That's the thing that's making me macam. Hey, I see it. I see foobar already. Yeah, refresh.
Can we?
So
I
if
should be
you
able to
just
use the command now, I guess.
and I ran the .sh file via my IDE rather than copy pasting on my terminal. I don't know whether that matters. I don't think it does, but
Oh, I think so. $username is a reserved keyword in Linux.
it could be your access key. Do we want to rule that out? I'm gonna now try with fubatu.
And now again, another error. Can't authenticate for some reason.
Is it because you have 2FA and you broke?
Oh, maybe.
I have two what?
2FA.
It's okay now. Can connect. I think there was
Pet.
something wrong with my token. There's extra codes.
Watch stream.
Now time to plan.
Finally working-ish. Yeah.
Okay, Chok. The fact that you can access the VPC details, AWS as a provider is already in your file. So that means you can code. Yeah, it's strange. You don't have to. I was very specific. You're added to a group that doesn't have all those policies. The only policies that I have is the EKS ones.
But this is only plan. So if I apply, yes, this is the real test.
Okay, dah. I've added the VPC full access to the group. Bismillah, bismillah, bismillah. What?
Yay. Created.
So save.
Nice.
Wow, instantaneous, eh? The
Hmm.
Okay, Han, I'm gonna give your user console access. It's useful for our audience to see the resources that were created already on the account based on just this little bit of Terraform that we've created. When at your leisure, please pasang a MFA,
MFA tu
multi-factor authentication. I use Authy. What do you use?
Google off.
The problem I was Google Auth, but then Google Auth doesn't have a auto backup service. So Authy lets you do that. So my engineers at work introduced me to Authy and I didn't look back.
And
Okay, so let's demonstrate for viewers. Add a name to it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Want to change zero to destroy. That's a plan, kan?
Yeah.
Apply. Yeah.
So the plus is what to add.
Your usual flow. Why bother with a separate TFP step when TFA will always do a plan first?
That's a good question.
Yeah. They will ask you and then they ask you yes or no, right? Then might as well just do it. Save the keystrokes.
Okay, fetch. Yep. There, name is there.
Okay, so for the benefit of those who are uninitiated, what is VPC? Why are we going through the fuss of creating a VPC? So just think of it as every bit of work that you do in AWS, every single resource that you deploy, they need to be part of a virtual private VPC. VPC stands for apa? Yeah, virtual private cloud. So it needs to be. Think of it as a container lah. All your resources need to belong to a okay. Wait, container is an overloaded term now because of Docker. Think of it as a box. Okay, a box that you need to have to be able to put your AWS resources in. So before we proceed to do stuff like standing up a EKS cluster, you need to prepare that box first.
So kirakan one project one VPC ya?
It's really up to you. It's really up to you.
Not necessary.
One project can have multiple VPCs also.
Oh, okay.
And
But
one
one
VPC.
VPC can have multiple projects also. Yep.
And if you wanna destroy the resources, you just Terraform destroy or Terragrant destroy, and it will do that.
Okay, so I'm using like TFT because I already have aliases now. And I'm just shifting some stuff around so that we can actually use Terragon now.
Before I forget, nanti kan add a tag that labels it MSOCIETY for all the resources that we built in this project, so that it's easy to keep track of billing if ever. So
Okay.
essentially, this Terragon.html file that you created in VPC, all it does is points to the modules here.
Okay, so now Terragon is creating the S3 bucket to host the remote state of the Terraform. So this is like a first time thing. If it doesn't exist, it will prompt to create. Otherwise, it will just automatic.
Wait, hang on. S3 bucket. Oh, you don't have to pre-create the S3 bucket, ah.
Yeah, you don't.
Cool beans. I was doing that on my own manually. But is it a Terraform? This special feature, is it a Terragon thing or a Terraform?
The Terragon thing.
So Terraform it will fail, is it? S3 bucket doesn't exist.
If it doesn't exist.
Let me see whether the S3 has been created on console.
Yep, it's here.
SS3. SST apa?
Oh, this is the GCC naming convention. I just copied from another repo.
The source of truth S3. SST nama.
Or maybe I just summarize like what we did. Understand like we did a primer of Terraform, right? How to declare a resource, VPC in this case, how to supply values to different attributes.
And to see what is required, what is mandatory, just look at the online documentation.
Next, we tried with the GitLab Terraform backend, but because we want to use Terragrant, we switched to S3 backend. And then we found out that we could define the S3 backend just using Terragrant ACL.
Oh, okay. Sweet liao. Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay, let me read your readme. Prior to running this video, I'm pretty sure Apple is better install. Okay, that's good. Okay, brew install tfenv. Terraform is already installed from HashiCorp tab. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it did install successfully. Because Terragrant we also installed Terraform, but then you already have a Terraform. So you should uninstall the Terraform first.
That means the guide also needs to improve. PD into Terragrant, VPC, and then but the backend stuff somewhere the side step because we're using S3 and the S3 is already created, so I didn't go through the initial drama.
Cool.
Okay, Terragrant. No, plan means want to add because you destroyed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sweet. That means anybody can do this now, but then I need to give them the AWS CLI. So anybody wants to follow, they will need to contact me lah. Then I will create a user and add it to the group lah. Yeah, okay, cool, sweet. Good progress. Okay lah, can.